Good morning. So I'm the newbie here, and that's why I've got this month to make the presentations or find the presenters. And it's a good start with the Boy Scouts because it's I was one, loved it, and now to see these young folks, and they're going to tell their stories and so on. So I think it's a great topic. I have one for each of the Tuesdays coming up. So if you don't like what I chose, then please tell Mark about it. If you like it, tell me. Okay. So before I start talking a little bit more about Marc Andreo, who's our main speaker today, it's nice that he brought so much help with him because I think it's going to be a much more interesting presentation. So we have two scouts. We have Brianna Brady and David Brown, who are both representing scouts here. They're both high school students, and I'm sure they're going to go in good places with having spoken to them just so shortly, but I think they're going to do very well in life. And I think scouting is something that is going to help them in life. I'm convinced of that. Also, Brian's father, Bob, is here. I think he's going to say a few words. And there's two mothers here, right? Rebecca and so one, Holly. So we got the whole crew here. So, okay, so since Marc Andreo's the main speaker, I'm going to speak a little bit more about him, and we'll go from there. So Marc has been involved with scouting essentially all of his life. His younger years, he also became an Eagle Scout, as the two that we have here today. It's the highest award that you can get in scouting, and it requires quite a bit of work. It's 21 merit badges at least. Some people get a lot more, but you have to at least get 21, and then are in all kinds of different things, first aid and nature and all kinds of things with which you learn a lot each time getting them. So he got that as well. He became an Eagle Scout. And he also became a Vigil Honor member of the Order of the Arrow. That's another section of scouting that takes some just existing in the woods, basically, is what it is, and you're doing hard work. So I enjoyed it. I did that myself. And so even today, Marc is an outdoor person. He goes backpacking and skiing with family and friends. Right? You still doing it? Good. Don't make me a liar. So after he graduated from St. John's University, Marc continued his scouting career, becoming district executive and ending up at the Greater New York Council for a while. And after a few other jumping around and being directors in various areas in the Northeast, in October of 2019, Marc became the Scout Executive of the Patriots Path Council, located in Cedar Knolls, New Jersey, where he works currently, right? Okay, the Patriots Council proudly serves more than 10,000 youth and 5,000 volunteer leaders in the New Jersey councils of Middlesex, Morris, Somerset, Sussex, and Union. So quite a large area that he's covering. Today, Marc is going to talk to us about highlights of the new program, and the title of his presentation is The BSA Scouting in Our Community Today. Please welcome Marc Andreo.
Good morning, everybody. What a privilege to be here with the old guard and to share an update on scouting today. As many of you might know, scouting's been a proud tradition in our communities for nearly 114 years. And during that time, we've served over 110 million young people throughout the United States. And being a part of the organization since I was young and being fortunate enough to have a career in scouting makes days like today really rewarding and special to be able to talk about what scouting is up to and where we're going in a lot of ways. And also bringing along two of our scouts. I'll introduce them as they come up to speak. But Brianna and David are great examples of what scouting really is all about. I'll introduce Bob Brady in a little bit. Bob is not only an Eagle Scout himself, but a very active volunteer. And the same goes for both Rebecca and Colleen, respectively, David and Brianna's moms. They're also two of those 5,000 volunteers that make scouting happen in our local communities. So we appreciate everybody's part in it. You know, scouting is really a family program, and I think that, you know, would be highlighted by you know, as you hear from folks today. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I figured I'd start the presentation by showing everybody a short video which just highlights the activities that our scouts enjoyed this past summer. Again, Brianna and David will expand on that, but it really ranged from our Cub Scouts who were active at our day camps to our Scouts BSA members. This is the former Boy Scout program, and also talks about their week-long adventures, some high adventure opportunities that they had around the country, as well as National Jamboree that they took part in, which was a very exciting event that we had. So I'll start with the video. It goes a little bit quick, but don't worry, we'll slow it down when we go from there. So those are just some of the things that our scouts were up to this summer. A little bit sensitive, but we're on track. Okay. As we kind of get rolling to it, I want to say thank you to the Old Guard and to Mono for working with us so that we could have an opportunity to speak with you today. We hope that our presentation is going to be fun and informative to give you an update on what's happening in scouting. And one of the things that hasn't changed in 114 years is Scouting's mission and how we deliver our programs to young people. While we've evolved as an organization quite a bit over the years, you'll hear a little bit about that as we go through it. Our aims are really have been consistent throughout, and that is character development, leadership development, participating citizenship, and personal fitness. These are attributes that we've tried to instill in our scouts over the years. And again, we're pretty proud of where we have come and where we're going as an organization. The Scout Oath and the Scout Law have also not changed in all the years that Scouting has been a part of America's fabric. And it really it highlights the fact that we have such a strong alumni network. So I'll try and get a little participation here. Has anybody been a Scout when they were a youth? That's about half the people in the room. That's pretty incredible. And how about anybody who participated as a leader or as a parent of a Scout? Very cool. And finally, I know we have a few. Are there any Eagle Scouts that are in the audience today? About 4 or 5. Joel, I didn't know that. That's why you're so good at technology, I suppose. So thank you. There you go. As Mono described, we're very proud to serve the 5-county area that we do. We're about the 16th largest council in the Boy Scouts of America, not necessarily geographically, but here in New Jersey with the dense population, having over 10,000 scouts is a big deal. And we'll talk about our operations a little bit as we go through things. Our council service center is in Cedar Knolls. The Patriots Path Council was a result of a merger 20 years ago. And some people remember our office in Florham Park. But we've been in Cedar Knolls now for 10 years. And at that service center, we have a small staff that supports those 5,000 volunteers. We have a scout shop where volunteers and families are able to come to purchase their scouting needs and to also any signups or activities that they're doing. We're open every day to make sure we're able to serve our customers, which is our families and our scouts as well. We also have a scout shop in Mountainside, New Jersey, which helps serve some of the different areas of our council, and the same things that you could do at our service center. It's just a little bit more convenient to be able to do that. Regarding our programs, many of you might be familiar with the core programs of Scouting. And the first is Cub Scouts. Cub Scouts, which is pretty recent, about 10 years now, start in kindergarten with our Lion program. And then it progresses by grade until Scouts are Webelos, and then cross over to Scouts BSA. And the focus of Cub Scouts is really to, have fun, to make it a family program that a family gets to enjoy together, and to prepare them with age-appropriate activities to endeavor onto Scouting. Right now, locally, we have over 5,000 of our Scouts who participate in Cub Scouts. On the Scouts BSA side, our last time at the Old Guard was about 5 years ago, and Bob Brady and Brianna were part of the group that spoke to us about how we began welcoming young ladies into Scouting. And we have a little over 4,000 Scouts BSA participants. And between Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA, now we have almost 1,000 young ladies participating in all of our programs, which we're super proud of. Pandemic slowed things down a little bit for us, as it did for many organizations. But being able to run both boy troops and concurrently female troops that come together at camp mostly with the exact same program. Not one requirement was changed as we launched Scouts BSA, and the handbooks changed on pronouns and things like that. And like any organization, there's been some growing pains, but by and large, it's been seamless. And especially for our female scouts, being able to be able to participate and be able to community with local fire department or police, to a hospital, law firm, all who are what we call chartered partners, and are able to offer those. The pandemic really did affect our ability to have kids doing these hands-on programs. So that's something that we're building back. We have about 400 active explorers right now, and it's something we want to be able to continue to grow. So those are the programs that we have. And while Joel figures out this part of it, we don't need technology for the next part. I'm going to invite Brianna Brady up. Brianna is an Eagle Scout. She made her Eagle in July. So when I'm finished, you can give her a great round of applause for that, or not. She is part of Troop 1150 in Sparta, which is chartered, and I'm going to use that word a lot, chartered organizations that partner with us, chartered by the Kiwanis of Sparta. And Brianna will give you a little bit of her scouting story, but again, wanted to welcome her. And Brianna, I think while we keep going on that, I'll leave the microphone to you.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to come speak to you today. My name is Brianna Brady. I'm an Eagle Scout from Troop 1150 in Sparta, where I serve as the Junior Assistant Scoutmaster. My journey in scouting only started a few years ago, when females were allowed to enter Scouts BSA. Growing up, scouting was simply bins in my basement, but that my dad would come up to show my sister and I from time to time. I never really understood what scouting was. My dad would tell me these thrilling stories of trips and events that he went on, but I never really believed that I would be able to experience them myself. My whole world changed on October 11th, 2017, which also happened to be my 10th birthday, when it announced that females would be allowed to join the Cub Scouts program. This was the best birthday gift I have ever received. My dad quickly sprang into action and found a Cub Scout pack that was willing to accept girls into its program. My dad became the assistant scout, or assistant Cub Master, and I became one of the first female girls into its program. While in Pack 150, I learned how to camp, tie knots, start fires, how to use a knife, and the list goes on. I got to experience things like the Pinewood Derby, Cub Scout Day Camp, and pack meetings. My dad worked quickly with the time restrictions, and I earned my Arrow of Light award. Soon thereafter, in 2019, I crossed over into Troop 1150. In my troop, I began to hold leadership positions, starting as a librarian and then moving up to an assistant patrol leader, where the following year I served as a patrol leader. Then I was welcomed into the senior patrol, where I have served as the troop guide, instructor, senior assistant patrol leader, and as the senior patrol leader. Through my troop, I have gotten to go on life-changing trips with my closest friends. Trips that I have been on with my troop include numerous weeks at summer camps, where I got to earn merit badges and enjoy the fun activities that camps have to offer. Weekend trips to camps ranging from Boston to PA and New York, and the list goes on. My favorite trip that I've got to go on with my troop was my trip to Sea Base in the summer of 2022. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Sea Base. We headed down to Isla Mirada in the Florida Keys to set off on our sailing adventure. We spent 3 days on a sail ship and 3 days back on base, where we went to abandoned islands and saw some pretty amazing snorkeling spots. While on the boat, my ship had the best captain, and we were able to stay in the ocean side the whole 3 days of our trip. Captain Pat showed us how to sail a boat properly and brought us to some of the best snorkeling spots. He also shared plenty of stories of his time on the seas. At Sea Base, I made some amazing memories that will last a lifetime. I look forward to New Mexico. Some of my closest friends and I will get to go backpacking in the mountains of New Mexico for 12 days. Although my troop has been my home of my scouting career, it is not the only part of scouting I take part in. In 2021, I was elected into the Order of the Arrow, which is Scouting's honor society. To just say the OA has a major impact on my life would be an understatement. When I joined the OA, I met some of the best people and mentors. Once I went through my ordeal, I immediately went back the weekend and served as a grounds crew member. Then I became a member of the ceremonies team. Shortly after, I was urged to run for a position in my chapter. I became the chapter chief of Woolahong chapter, where I set up meetings for scouts in my district and helped set up unit elections. Then, when the vice chief of lore officer position was suddenly found vacant, I eagerly ran and became the new vice chief of lore. The following year, I ran for the vice chief of program and won. I led the organization of the Lodges program with the help of my chairs. This past May, I ran for Lodge Chief and was sworn in June. As the current Lodge Chief, I am in charge of overseeing all of the Lodge's activities and committees to make sure everything is getting done. Through the OA, I have been able to expand my scouting circle and meet so many new people. I have attended many OA conclaves, but my favorite event was attending NOAC, the National Order of the Arrow Conference, in the summer of 22 at the University of Tennessee. NOAC had so much to offer, including trainings, information booths, exhibits, many fun activities, and in my opinion, of the best were the shows each night. Another aspect of scouting that I am a part of is to staff NYLT, the National Youth Leadership Training Program. I attended NYLT in November 22 as a participant where I furthered my leadership skills. I was then asked back for an interview for staff. I was accepted. I attended many developments in order to serve as a staff member and got to meet all my fellow staff, some becoming my best friends in and outside of scouting. I have served on 5 courses, one of which happens to be this past weekend and this upcoming weekend. I have served 1 course as a skill instructor and 3 as a troop guide. As a staff member, I help teach the syllabus in a fun and influential way to the participants to help them further their leadership skills. Let me tell you about one of my scouting trips this summer. I attended the National Jamboree at the Summit Bechtel Reserve. I got to participate in activities with scouts from all over the United States. These activities included stands, merit badges, water sports, rock climbing, zip lining, chemistry, skateboarding, mountain biking, and the list continues and continues. I had a blast. Now, let me talk to you about what scouting really means to me. Scouting is my life. It is where I am my happiest. I get to experience so many things that the average person will never do. I constantly get told at school how cool my life is by my classmates because of the endless adventures I have gotten to take a part of. However, the greatest things don't come without their challenges. Let's face the elephant in the room. I was one of just a few females entering the predominantly male organization. I had to block out the negative comments of those who believed girls did not deserve the chance to be in the scouting world. I had to face being the only girl at events where guys did not see me as equal to them. I had to prove myself more than any of the boys did in order to get the positions I currently have held or am holding. But these challenges haven't come without lessons. Lessons of how to deal with not being accepted right away, the idea of not fitting in, and the proof that hard work can get you far in life. I have gained the respect of people who saw me once as a young girl in a male organization who was not welcomed by all. But now it is different. Scouting is my home, and my fellow scouts are my family. What scouting really means to me is family. I have been through some of the best and worst moments in my life with the people in scouting. Looking back at the little girl who thought scouting was a couple of bins in her basement that came up once in a while, what I say to you, hang on, because the ride gets crazy. Thank you.
Thank you, Brianna. As the dad of 3 girls, that all 2 of which participated in scouting, you could see why it's so important to welcome our young ladies into the program. And as I said, there's some bumps along the way, but the more and more we evolve, the more and more natural this is. Eagle Scouts like Brianna, and in case you didn't catch it, she is the lodge chief So our Camping Honor Society, Brianna, as a female scout, now leads our entire council in that endeavor. So to say not only has she overcome, but she's thrived through the experiences that she's gotten in scouting. And someone else who I'm going to introduce now is David Braun. David is an Eagle Scout also. He made his Eagle, I believe, a couple of days after Brianna did this past July. And David also has a great scouting background that he's going to share with everybody. He is from Troop 130 in Mendham, which is chartered by the community of St. John the Baptist. As Mano mentioned, he's 18 years old, and welcoming David to the stage. By the way, I'm going to share a couple of tchotchkes. Scouts like to do the hard work. They like to, build fires and camp and learn about all those life lessons, but they also like some patches and cool thank yous, like the adults do, and I'm sure former scouts as well. So I'll bring this one over to Brianna and welcome David. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to come and speak to you all. My name is David Braun, and I'm an Eagle Scout from Troop 130 in Mendham, and I serve as an assistant scoutmaster for my troop. I started Scouts in first grade when I joined Cub Scouts after my mom urged me to get into an activity besides Little League baseball and after-school programs at the library. And throughout my scouting experience, I had the opportunity to be part of 4 different troops. So after I crossed over from Cub Scouts, I joined Troop 150 in Bernardsville, where I participated with them for a couple of months. And then in 2017, my family moved to Basel, Switzerland because of my dad's job. So moving to an international school, I didn't really know what I should do, but I found scouting there. Thank you. So in Switzerland, I joined Troop 681, and it was part of the Transatlantic Council serving Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And that experience allowed me to participate scouting in a whole new way. We had the same advancement program and opportunities like we do have here in the United States, but we also had some different activities that you can't do here. So one of the most memorable activities that we had was building and sleeping in a snow shelter and hiking in the Swiss Alps. We also had the opportunity to participate in a service project at a World War I battleground, where we helped to clean up the trenches and preserve the land for all people to come and visit. When my family moved back to the United States in 2019, I joined Troop 1 in Mendham, and I served as the senior patrol leader, the highest youth position in a scouting troop. That opportunity gave me the experience to really get a connection with the scouts in my troop and help them achieve their goals, and they allowed me to achieve my goals as a leader. Finally, in October of last year, I helped to found Troop 130 in Mendham, where I currently serve as an assistant scoutmaster. Using my experiences from my previous 4 troops, I helped to start the wonderful program that all scouts in my troop enjoy. And I feel like scouting has taught me a lot about leadership and responsibility. This past summer, I went to the National Scout Jamboree, where I served as the senior patrol leader of Troop 3320. So you can imagine 34 scouts that we had nothing in common besides scouting, and we all had to spend 2 weeks with each other in a field the size of this room. So we spent a year meeting monthly, figuring out who's going to lead us and really getting to know each other. And by the end of the 2 weeks down in West Virginia, we really became family, and I still keep in touch with them every day. Another surprising thing about the National Jamboree is that I ran into 2 of my friends from my troop in Switzerland while there, and we had the opportunity to trade patches and connect with each other and catch up since I haven't seen them in 4 years. So what scouting means to me is it means like connection and relationships, because without this, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. And that's all I have.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the particulars of scouting locally. And a big part of what we do for our younger scouts is Cub Scout Day Camp. And we have 2 camps. One is Mount Alamucci Scout Reservation in Stanhope, and the other is Winnebago Scout Reservation, which is in Rockaway, New Jersey. And at Alamucci, we have Camp Wheeler, where our Cub Scouts will spend the summer about 7 weeks participating in programs. We have a pool, we have a STEM center, and being able to draw from around the council to get kids into the outdoors is a big part of that. A little bit more locally, in Union, New Jersey at Watchung Reservation, we also run a Cub Scout Day Camp with similar programs. For the Scouts BSA portion of things, I talked about Winnebago in Rockaway. This is where Scouts spend a week or more working on merit badges, working with their troop, and taking part in their summer adventures. At Mount Alamucci, Camp Summers will be celebrating its 75th year serving Scouts next summer. So we're really proud about our traditions there and being able to offer the programs that we do. And both these camps operate year-round, with hundreds on most weekend of Scouts participating in each one, whether they do that with their home troop or pack, or whether they participate in programs that are run by our volunteers or some of our part-time staffers. And again, and I think David and Brianna really highlighted it well, the BSA has 4 high adventure bases that are here in the United States: the Summit Bechtel Reserve, which is the newest in West Virginia; Philmont Scout Ranch, which many of you may have heard of, in New Mexico, where we focus on backpacking; the Florida Sea Base in the Keys, where we have sailing and outdoor adventures; and then finally Northern Tier, which is our canoe base in Minnesota that Scouts are participating every day. And we talked about 10,000 members. We're really proud also of the fact that we retain about 75% of our Scouts every year. So 7.5 out of 10 Scouts who come into our programs will see their way through on an annual basis. So every year, though, we recruit a little more than 2,000 Scouts so that we continue to grow as an organization. We talked about our adult members, over 5,000 strong right now. That number actually is on the upswing. It's the largest challenge we have, is getting adult volunteers to spend time out in the wilderness with the Scouts and to really be contributing on a week in and week out basis. And as challenging as that is, we are growing locally in that endeavor. So we're super proud of that part of things. Last year, we had 291 Eagle Scouts. That was down just a little bit. Our average is probably about 350. The pandemic certainly cut into that just a little bit on us. Cub Scout ranks, you can see there. The big one is merit badges earned. Can anybody think they could name the most popular merit badge that Scouts get every year? Swimming's a big one. It's first aid. It's a required badge, but probably the most helpful for a Scout to be able to earn. And that's where we are. Scouts BSA, also, you can see there how many of our Scouts are advancing through our programs. Over 2,000 Scouts get out to all those outdoor activities each summer. About 2,600 families participate not only with their troops, but at some of our weekend adventures that we're providing for Scouts. And it could be as simple as building a birdhouse for a first grader or a second grader, all the way up to ATVs and rock climbing and high adventure activities for our older scouts. Annually, a little over 300 of our scouts venture around the United States to take part in the high adventure pieces of it, and over 7,000 participate in our weekend activities that are run by our local districts and volunteers who provide programs for our troops and for our scouts. And new to the statistics for next year will be over 200 scouts attending the National Jamboree this past summer, which, as you heard, David and Brianna were a part of. Challenges in scouting over the years, not only have we dealt with the pandemic and the challenges that were there, but also many of you may have heard that the Boy Scouts of America has gone through a financial restructuring. It's a bankruptcy that we're fortunate to have been able to exit from this past spring. And a big part of that is our youth protection programs. They were actually first developed in the 1980s when I was a scout, and they continue to evolve every day to make sure that scouts are safe in our programs. And we have 11 barriers to abuse. And this is a culture in our packs and our troops that we're very proud of, that the most important thing is safety of our scouts, of our adults. And, it's something that we don't take our eye off of, and, make sure that we're always focusing on. So now I will have Bob Brady, who is our Executive Vice President. He'll be the president, volunteer president of our council in 2 years. He's also putting together a really cool jamboree for all of our scouts. We're hoping to have 5,000 scouts next October up at the Sussex Fairgrounds to participate in what is going to be just an awesome event for local scouting. Bob's also the Scoutmaster of Troop 1150 and Eagle Scout, as I mentioned. And I just realized I didn't get him a tchotchke, but we'll get him something in a little bit. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mark. So, why do I do this is really the question Mark asked me to address today. We're all busy with our jobs, our families, everything else we do in the community. So why do I choose to spend so much time in scouting like those other 5,000 volunteers? Guys like Mitch and Terry and Steve, who are members of your group, they probably talk to you all the time about the various adventures that we're all going on. Now, look, it's very easy to say, I do it because I get to be the advisor and go to Philmont and the National Jamboree and all those cool things and relive my childhood. I'm not going to lie, that's a big part of it. But really, it's about the impact that we have on all these youth. I mean, what more can I say to convince you scouting works besides seeing what Brianna and David just got up here? Two young people who, took time off of school, put on their uniform, and came here to tell you about the impact it had on their lives. My job's done, right? I mean, they were phenomenal with what they had to say. But really what scouting comes down to is we have the 4 aims of scouting. It's about citizenship, character, leadership, and physical fitness. We just convince the kids we're teaching them about not tying and camping, right? We're making them into great citizens that are going to lead the next generation of our country. Mark also referenced merit badges. Merit badges can be life-changing. We have 138 different merit badges that the scouts can earn. Yeah, it just takes 21 to become an Eagle Scout. Some of them are things you expect: swimming, first aid, camping. But we also have them for practically every career field. And it's a great way for people in the community like you to help out, to teach about your job. I think some of my passion personally comes from the fact that at a merit badge fair when I was 17 years old, having no idea what I wanted to do with my life, I stumbled into a law merit badge class. True story. I learned about being a lawyer, going to court, and it really set up the career path that I went on for my life. And I truly and honestly say I wouldn't have my career as an attorney if it wasn't for what I learned in the Boy Scouts. Right. So we can talk about the foundations I learned, about the friends I learned, how it shaped my personality and everything about me, but it taught me about the career that I've embarked on. It's the single most important thing besides my family that impacted my life. And so as a volunteer, I want to give that opportunity to other kids. That's why we do it. And I'm sure Mitch and Terry and Steve will tell you the same exact thing. So any way any of you want to help out, we'd love to talk to you, because we're doing great things, making great scouts like Brianna and David here. So love to talk to you more about ways to help out in the future. But it's pretty much scouting in a nutshell. And I hope we taught you something today. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, Bob. And I think now you could kind of understand why we, oh, good, right on time. Why we wanted our scouts and our leaders to talk a little bit. There's a lot that goes into making scouting happening, but it just simply doesn't happen without the volunteers and the scouts' enthusiasm. And I think the one thing that, as Bob says, we kind of sneak some things in. The most impactful is that leadership development part of it, where scouts are thrust into situations like talking in front of the old guard and talking about their experiences. And we never script them. We always want to make sure that it comes directly from them, because that's really what scouting is all about. And to hear that is really the most important thing we can. Bob made a little bit of reference to volunteering, and scouting is a small business. As a not-for-profit, we raise a little over $2 million every year to support our local programs. We have an individual giving campaign called Friends of Scouting. We run 35 special events in our local communities, ranging from industry dinners to community dinners, golf outings, shooting sports tournaments, and a lot of experiential events where we try and find people's interests and ability to contribute to make sure that we're able to continue scouting. Then we have our 2 camps, which need constant upkeep and maintenance. That's our capital fund. And where we find a lot of success is in individuals and organizations who want to make sure that the facilities are first rate for our scouts and that they're safe and they're fun. And then finally, we have an endowment to make sure that scouting continues in perpetuity. And there's a lot of opportunities for individuals, both our alumni and our active constituents, to be a part of any of these giving opportunities. Again, a little over $2 million a year really helps move the needle locally for us. Another part of what we try and do is have scouting partnerships. We talked about the chartered organization concept and how important that is for us. Right here at the Presbyterian Church, Troop 63 has been meeting, and I got a Brady picture there. There you go. Locally, we have over 350 chartered partners, but we need more. In order to grow scouting, we put incredible efforts into it. And like many not-for-profits and youth organizations, we struggle with membership. So anything that you can do in terms of advocating for scouting locally, or helping us open doors in the community, or finally, as Bob mentioned, taking the time to roll up your sleeves and to help out on a periodic basis. It's all greatly needed and deeply appreciated. So we really wanted to make sure that we finished on that note, because in order to be a growing organization, we need to continue to engage everywhere from kindergarten right through 18 years old for most of our scouts, and then beyond as volunteer leaders. So again, thank you for having us here today and allowing us to give this presentation and talk a little bit about the cool things that scouts are doing locally. At this point, I'm not sure if we still have time for any questions or how that works for us, but thank you, everyone.
Okay, questions.
Yes.
Everybody knows the routine. Come right up if you want to ask a question. And we have our whole group here to answer the questions. So please. And is there anything from online? Seems like you gave such a complete, comprehensive presentation that no one has formulated their questions yet. But there's Mitch. He's got something. So come on up, Mitch.
Okay, this is for you, Brianna, and you, David. Tell everybody the one best memory you have of scouting.
I'd say my one best favorite scouting memory would probably be going to sea base with my troop. That was one of the best experiences I've ever had in scouting, and it was something that will last me a lifetime. It's an adventure that people don't really get to go on, going on a sailboat, sleeping on the sailboat, snorkeling. It's just amazing. So that's my best scouting memory.
I'd say my best scouting memory was also at sea base, specifically when the captain of my troop's ship put lots of fish in the water, and then he played the Jaws theme song, and we looked over the side of the ship, and there were probably like 20 sharks eating the fish and jumping out of the water. So I think that was the most memorable thing.
Thank you. Joe, are you coming up to ask a question? Oh, okay. Oh, yes, we have one online from John Tomaszewski. Okay.
Yes, hi. I have a question of David. When you were in that trench, the World War I trench, what was that like?
When I was in the World War I trench, it was really a great experience because it's not really something you do that a lot of people do because so we were really just like cleaning up the trenches. I know they sent some scouts to rebuild steps. Some were just cleaning out garbage, and we found a lot of like barbed wire, and some scouts found grenades. So we had to like get away from that area while the adults took care of that. But it was just a really cool experience and something I still think about.
Thank you. Have we got anything else from online? Have we any other questions from the audience here? Well, in that case, Mano, please come up and thank our wonderful speakers.
Okay, very nice. Thank you very much. And I think it was a very interesting story. Now, everything developed in the last few days of how things worked out or not. So I do have this to give to Marc. Okay, this is a certificate of appreciation to Marc Andreo for the presentation. So everybody's aware of this. And we'll do the salute in just a minute because I want to give everything out before so that we can kind of thank them all at the same time. This is giving a little hum here. Now, because as I said, this developed as time went on. So I have some goodies for some of the folks. And first, important here is why, and it's customary. But it's also humming a lot. Okay, so custom is that when females present, we have a female lady, a scout here, and the custom is to give a orchid to that person. Why an orchid? Because orchids back in, when this was done in 1930, when this old guard was put together, at that time, Summit was the orchid capital of New Jersey, I guess it was. So we do give orchids. So with that, Brianna, if you would come here, please. And we have an orchid for you. Okay, there you go. You can have this box if you want to take the car home and make it a little bit easier. Okay. Now, because I found out, I think a day or so, that we were going to have these other folks. My wife thought it was very unfair that a male is also going to be presenting, and he's not getting an orchid because that's not the custom to do that here. So then we had to be creative. So this is because my wife was very insistent. I have to listen to her. So thank you very much for presenting and giving us such a good overlook about scouting. Unfortunately, I don't have anything for you because you weren't on my list and my wife didn't know you were coming. So, I think, good. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Let's please give the old guard salute to everybody.